Hello everyone. So now that you guys have met the new baby, I guess you guys probably figured that I would be doing a video about introductions. So this is going to be that video, and of course there's going to be a lot of rat distractions. Thanks, Harper. But here's Delphi. Here's the baby. She's doing good. I actually got some kisses from her yesterday, so that was sweet. As for with, oh, did you figure out how to do that already? I'm doing all my tapes with her on the bed because she's actually a little skittish right now when she's out in the playpen. But she is perfectly fine in the cage and she's perfectly fine on the bed. So we're going to be working on that with her. But for video's sake, we'll keep putting her on the bed, and that's where I'll usually sit up there with her, and she's all over my lap, and that's where she gave me kisses and stuff. So she's just still a little skittish around the in the playpen. It's a really big space for her. So yeah. Oh, here's Pippa. I wanted to show off how she is with these two. They're completely fine now. Introductions with them took about 24 hours, seriously. That's why I really didn't tape them, because honestly, it would have been like, okay, the rats get along, fantastic. They really weren't typical introductions. And of course, Delphi's gonna poop a lot in this video. Again, she's a baby. It happens. She's still getting used to a new diet too, so that you'll see that a lot when if you switch their diets. Just FYI. But anyways, yeah. So here's that's the kind of stuff that you want to see when they're doing introductions. Haha, right, Pip? I know that's gross. Tell Delphi. Say stop doing that. So anyways. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about what to do. I'm not gonna really show anything. I'm just gonna kind of pan around and see what Delphi's doing while I'm explaining kind of the process. And especially, this is something that you really need to kind of alter depending on your rat situation. Time frames will be completely different per rat. So I'm just going to give the general overview, and then you might have to change it depending on the reactions of your rats, or you know, whatever. So I've had my longest ones were 2 weeks. I've heard of some that, well, you could have some that never work out, but you can also have it's pretty common to do it for 2 weeks to a month, especially with male rats. Harper's in the back moving the box. But so yeah, so that is really dependent on the rats that you have already. Hi Delphi. Sorry, she's seeing me right now. So yeah, so the first thing you want to do is you want to let your rat get comfortable in their new environment for, you know, at least a day or two. Depending on, you know, how they're doing. If they're looking really freaked out, then hold off a little bit more. If they look ready to go, you know, if they got good signs, they're already paying attention to you and all sorts of stuff, then go ahead and start. So again, that's kind of something that you will have to kind of decide with your rats. Then what you would do is what'd you find? Oh, she's gonna eat now. Oh, she's so cute. But then what you do is, so at this point, your baby rat or your new rat will be in a separate cage from the others. So like what I did, I'll show you. I moved that ladder. I just pick it up, and I've done this many times. Pick it up, and then I zip tied it to the top of the cage up there. And so then this was a separate cage for Delphi, and that was a separate cage for Pippa and Harper. So that works really well if you have the Ferret Nations. If you have another cage, you can do that too. There's many different ways to kind of separate them. Or you can have another separate cage for intros. It's always good to have another one though, just in case, for intros and for sick rats. Sometimes they have to be put in another cage, so I definitely recommend that. But anyways, so yeah, that's what we did. And at first you want to have something from both rats in the opposite cage. So once they're comfortable, once Delphi was comfortable, what I did was I put something that was in it was a piece of fleece that was in one of their favorite hammocks, and I put it in the same place that Delphi was sleeping most of the time, and then I switched what was in that sleeping spot with the one in Harper and Pippa's cage. So I just switched a piece of fleece in their sleeping spots. And what that does is it gets them used to each other's scent. And that's a big part of introductions. So let's just do first. And then once they look okay with that, then what I would do is I would switch cages with them. So like what I did is I put Harper and Pippa in the bottom, and then put Delphi in the top. And again, that's for scent purposes mostly. They will get used to each other's scent. Then next, if you have cages that are separate, what I would do is I would start putting them closer and closer to each other. You put them, eventually they'll be right next to each other, and so that the rats can actually interact between the bars. And that's a good way to kind of observe what's going on and measure their reactions. Or if you have a setup more like mine, it's a little harder to measure, but I looked at their reactions to the scent more than anything, and then decided when it was good to continue. Again, that's something kind of, I don't know how to put that into words really, but it's just something you learn over the years. You can look up more information about individual stories is a good way to do that. But yeah, just kind of looking at the signs of, are there any aggressive signs? Yeah, so then what you want to do is you want to get all of your rats in one area that is neutral ground. So that means that no animal or no rats have been playing there or spending time there. So for me, it's the bathroom. I just take out all the rugs and everything and plop them down. And what that means is that usually both, hi Delphi, all the rats will kind of be like wondering where they are kind of thing, exploring, and will be less focused on the new rat. So yeah, so usually you do neutral ground for a few days and measure their, how they're doing. When you don't see any more aggressive behavior in the neutral ground, then you can move to, so like here, I moved on to, I was going to move to the playpen, and then Delphi wanted no part of that and just ran straight into the cage again. So I started on the bed, and so the big girls could come and go as they pleased, and then Delphi kind of was stuck on the bed, but it was a good way for them all to get used to each other. There you go, Delphi belly for you. So yeah, so they were completely fine with that. If you want, or if you see that they're still being a little aggressive, then you want to switch back to neutral ground and then start that again. And you want to make sure that each step is complete before you move on. And I'm about to run out of tape, so let me switch tape. Okay, I just had to stop and record again. I can only do 10 minutes on this camera, and a lot of people were saying that the last video was a lot better with this camera. And I mean, I like using this camera a lot more, but I'm really limited with the time. So yeah, I can figure that out though. So yeah, thanks for any feedback on that, by the way. Yeah, so where was I? So yeah, so you move to non-neutral ground, so a playpen or somewhere like that, wherever they normally play. And there is usually where you will see you'll definitely see aggressive behavior if there is going to be. So like my rat Raya used to be completely fine everywhere except for when we got to the playpen, and then she would go nuts because some rats are really territorial. So watch out for that. Again, you might want to look up, there's a really great site, if I remember I'll put it in the description, but there's a really great site that helps you figure out if it's play behavior or aggressive behavior, and that's really helpful. So if I remember, I'll put that in the description, and that's a great way to figure out when you are able to move on to the next step in, you know, whatever step you're in. So yeah, so then you've moved on to the playpen. Once things are all good in the playpen, then you can try putting them in the cage together. Again, you want to be around when they first go in the cage together. Let's see what, oh. I was wondering what Pippa was doing. She's back there. I just switched out the hose, so. Sorry, this is kind of boring to watch, but. Anyways, yeah, so put them in the cage together. Watch what they're doing. So like when I first put them in the cage together, I just sat on the bed and watched them. And, yeah. Once they're okay with that, then you can go ahead and move them into the same cage together. Again, I would watch out for that. You really need to learn what your rat's behavior is. And that's really the best way to go about it. Okay, sorry, I had to start over again. My mom came in and asked what I wanted to order for dinner. So there we go. So we're getting fettuccine alfredo. We'll probably give them the tiniest piece ever. But there you go. Delphi can try some pasta. So yeah, so basically that's the kind of general kind of outline for doing introductions. So sorry, she's so cute. So yeah, the basic structure again is letting them hang out for a while, getting comfortable. Then you want to switch something in the cage. Then you want to switch cages. And again, if you have another cage and your setup isn't like mine, the whole time you can be moving the cages closer and closer together. So after you switch the cages, then you do you put them on neutral ground together. Then once they're fine with that, you put them on non-neutral ground, so like wherever they play. And then you can try leaving them in the cage together. And every step you want to make sure that they are good with the step before you move on. Again, this might take weeks, or it could take 24 hours like it took for us. With babies, it's a lot easier because the babies aren't the problem. It's usually the adults that are the problem, Miss Pippa. Pip gave her a couple of... It was more that Pippa was, she was trying to groom Delphi, and Delphi is so young that she wasn't really sure how to respond, and so at first she was protesting against it. And now, within the 24 hours, she figured out that Pippa wasn't trying to hurt her or anything. And, okay, Delphi doesn't know how to use the steps yet, so... But yeah, so Delphi had to figure out that Pippa wasn't actually trying to do any harm to her. It was just that Pippa wanted to groom her. So once that was, you know, that took like 3 times, and then they were done. And Harper and her have already been, they're playmates now. Harper's been sleeping with her, and from the beginning Harper was just great with them. I've always had really good luck, so... But that's one good thing about having females and not males. Males are notoriously worse for this, but that's why they usually recommend getting like siblings. But it is totally doable with males, don't get me wrong. Totally doable, but it usually takes a little bit longer, especially not 24 hours. So just be aware of that. But yeah, so I hope that you guys like this this 3-part video with me just talking. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, I mean, again, it's kind of hard for me to answer a lot of questions that are really rat specific and situation specific. So more general questions are definitely easier for me to answer, but you know, you never know. So yeah, so please leave any comments or questions you have down below, and we'll see you next time. Bye! Say bye!